Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today, what we're going to be talking about is the RPE scale. So first of all, what even is the RPE scale? Well, basically RPE stands for rate of perceived exertion. In other words, how hard we're working relative to you. As we're all different, what might be a really lightweight for some might be really heavy for others. So we kind of need a gauge, a way of working out the intensity that we want to work at. And that's where the rate of perceived exertion comes in, the RPE scale. So what does it actually look like? Well, what we've got is a scale between 1 and 10. 1 being really, really light, something that doesn't feel like any effort at all. And up at 10, we're maxing out. We're going as hard as we possibly can. We couldn't do any more if we tried. So we've got those two extremes, and we've got all the numbers from 1 to 10 in between that scale, which guides us into the intensity that we need to be working at. So why do we actually use an RPE scale? Well, first of all, it allows us to keep the intention of the workout on point. It gives us a target that we need to work towards for the set, for the rep ranges, for the intensity of the overall workout. And when I'm saying intensity with the workouts, what I'm talking about is how hard we're working. So that could also mean the weight that we're lifting, but how hard we're finding that particular weight. So the RPE scale comes in really handy once you've had a little bit more experience to lifting weights and you've been doing it for some time. Mainly because when we're new to weight training, what tends to happen is anything that we find difficult, our perception of that is going to be quite high. We've never really pushed to what we'd classify as a 10 before, so we kind of don't know where that level is, and we've got nothing to compare it to. So everything in the beginning is going to feel difficult. As we've gone through a little bit further and we're a little bit more experienced, now we know what it's like to push really, really hard and what it's like to go really, really easy. So that scale system becomes a lot more relevant and also more beneficial as we progress through lifting weights. The RPE scale is also really good if you are going through a period of time where you might feel a little bit burnt out. Maybe life stresses are happening, maybe you're in and out of lockdowns, there's a lot going on for you. Chances are that's going to affect your training, and therefore as a result, the RPE scale is a really good way at self-regulating the workouts. So easiest way to look at this is imagine a typical percentage-based program takes what your heaviest weight is, your 1 RM, and uses a percentage of that number. Now, these are great programs as well, and it often works really well to get you really, really strong. But the problem is it doesn't take into account that self-regulation, the outside influences to your training. So if you go into your workout and it says 3 sets of 8 at 85%, and you warm up to about 60% of your 1 RM and it feels really heavy on the day and really tough, there's no way that you're going to be doing 85%. And therefore, a lot of the times for many people, their motivation starts to come down because they're not hitting the numbers that they should be hitting. And therefore, the workout kind of feels like a waste of time. However, if we use an RPE scale, it takes into account all of those stresses and all of those things that might be happening on the day. So a RPE of 7 might feel different from Monday than it does on Friday, but you're still working at that desired intensity for that day. So it allows you that self-regulation. So how can you apply the RPE scale? So as we said before, it's a scale system between 1 and 10. If we look at right at the top, number 10, that's where we're maxing out. You have got no more reps that you could give when you're using that particular weight. If we come down 1 to a 9, you've probably got 1 more rep left in the tank, but it's going to be a real grind as you're going to have to really dig deep to get that extra rep. If we come further down than that, an 8 out of 10, you're working really hard still, but if you really had to, you could probably push out another 2 to 4 reps maybe. You're still working really hard, but you're not going absolutely all out. Coming down below that is a number 7. So here is where we could move a weight for about 5 to 8 reps and with some power behind it. So we could really move that weight comfortably. We can move it with a bit of speed behind it. It's something that we can tolerate quite easily. Coming down to a number 6, this is a weight that you could move relatively quickly. It's even easier than a 7, and you could move it with a bit of speed behind you. Number 5 is where you'd honestly start your warm-up set. So this is a weight that really you could move quite easily. It's not really going to cause you much fatigue. It's just something that where you would start your warm-up sets and you would build from there. A 4 or less is weights that you would typically see on a prehab exercise. Maybe you've got some sort of an injury or you're doing some corrective work. These are the type of weights that you would use with a 4 or under on that scale. So what does it look like when it's written in your program? With an RPE focused program, what you might see is 3 sets of an RPE 7. So what that basically means is you would use a weight that feels a number 7 out of 10. So as we said before, if we refer to that chart as a guide, this sort of weight is a weight that you could get between 5 and 8 reps pretty comfortably. We're working hard, but we're not going max out. So what you would do is you then do 3 sets of between 5 and 8, which is for you an RPE 7. You typically have a few reps left in the tank once you finish your set. So what are the benefits to using an RPE scale? As we said before, it's really, really good once you've had a little bit of experience when you've been lifting weights as a way to self-guide your workouts and self-regulate it. So if, like we said before, you're going through some tough times, there's some things going on, and you find it pretty hard to stay really consistent with something like a percentage-based program, an RPE program might be just what you need because it allows you to come in that day, you're still working at an 8 out of 10 for you on that day, irrespective of whatever the number is in relation to your 1RM. It's still allowing you to come in, hit the same relative intensity, and still get a good workout in. So I hope that was really helpful. I hope that gave you a brief understanding of what the RPE scale is, how we would use that, and what it would typically look like in your program. If you did find this video helpful, do me a favor, like the video as well as subscribe to the channel so that you stay up to date with content just like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.